The world always told Aiden what he was supposed to be. Delicate, obedient, protected, hidden. And Omega's place was behind safe walls, far from danger, far from choices, far from the front lines where real decisions were made by alphas. But Aiden had never fit into the quiet box society built for him. His heart was too loud, his loyalty too fierce. And after the day his older brother Liam died in the war, his last whispered words still echoing through Aiden's dreams, he knew he could no longer sit behind the fences and wait for others to decide the fate of his people. Aiden, don't let them erase us. Those were Liam's final words. So Aiden packed only a small bag, wore his brother's old military jacket, and stepped into a world he had been forbidden to even look toward, the war zone. The moment he crossed the border, he felt the difference in the air. The world smelled of smoke and metal, and every sound, distant gunfire, collapsing buildings, roaring engines, shook his bones. The ground itself felt alive with violence. He felt small, fragile, out of place, but he kept walking. He followed the map Liam had left hidden in his drawer, the one marked with the location where the resistance was rumored to gather. Aiden's goal wasn't glory, he didn't want to be a hero. He only wanted answers. Why had Liam died in a mission marked as routine? Who ordered his team to march into an ambush? Why was the truth buried? Aiden deserved answers, and if he had to walk through hell to find them, he would. Hours passed as he walked through abandoned villages, burned-out vehicles, and fields littered with memories of war. Every step was heavier than the last. But the weight on Aiden's chest wasn't fear, it was purpose. As night began to fall, Aiden heard something that froze him in place. Footsteps, heavy boots, multiple, and fast. His breath caught in his throat as he ducked behind a destroyed truck, peeking through the shattered window. A squad of armed soldiers moved across the field, their sharp eyes scanning the area. Their uniforms held the emblem he recognized from Liam's last mission, the enemy unit. Aiden's heartbeat slammed against his ribs. He didn't belong here. He wasn't supposed to be here. If they found him, a sudden crack of gunfire split the air. Aiden flinched, his hands flying to his ears, his body trembling from the shock. More bullets followed, streaking past him, hitting the metal with violent clangs. He dropped to the ground, panic clawing at his throat. He was going to die. He hadn't even reached the resistance. He hadn't even learned the truth. He tried to crawl away, but a bullet hit the ground inches from his hand, spraying dirt into his eyes. Aiden froze, and then the world changed in a single second. A towering shadow stepped in front of him, so large he blocked the moonlight. Aiden blinked up, stunned, as an alpha soldier, clad in heavy armor and radiating power, stood between him and the gunfire. Bullets thudded into the Alpha's shield as if they were flies hitting a wall. The Alpha didn't even flinch. His voice cut the air like thunder. Stay down. Aiden didn't need to be told twice. The Alpha fired back with deadly precision, forcing the enemy to retreat. When silence finally settled again, the giant soldier knelt in front of Aiden, his breath heavy behind his mask. He removed his helmet. Aiden's breath hitched. The man's face was sharp, rugged, smeared with dust and blood, but his eyes, cold, fierce, golden, were unlike anything Aiden had ever seen. They looked at him as if he was something fragile and somehow important. What the hell is an Omega doing alone in a kill zone? The Alpha growled. Aiden opened his mouth, but no sound came out. He didn't know this man, yet something about him, his presence, his strength, the way he had shielded Aiden without hesitation, felt strangely familiar. The Alpha's gaze hardened. Can you walk? Aiden nodded weakly. Then get up, the Alpha said, grabbing Aiden's arm with surprising gentleness. This place will be crawling with soldiers soon. I'm taking you to shelter. Aiden pulled his arm away, voice trembling. I don't need your help. The Alpha's jaw tightened. You won't survive an hour alone. I survived this long, Aiden whispered. The Alpha stepped closer, towering over him, his scent overwhelming, strong, commanding, unmistakably Alpha. You survived because I arrived, he said quietly. Don't test your luck. For a moment, no one spoke. The wind carried smoke. The moonlit battlefield glowed with danger. And Aiden realized the truth. He didn't know this Alpha's name, but he knew he had just stepped into a destiny far larger than himself. And for the first time since Liam's death, Aiden felt something stir inside his chest. Hope. The Alpha didn't ask Aiden for permission. He simply turned and started walking, expecting him to follow. His steps were heavy and precise, each one echoing command and control. Aiden hesitated at first, clutching the straps of his worn backpack, but staying alone meant death. He forced himself to move. The night deepened as they crossed through the ruined outskirts of the battlefield. Fires burned in the distance, small explosions rumbling like angry thunder. Aiden couldn't stop trembling. Not from fear, but from the overwhelming mix of scents in the air. Smoke, blood, and something else. The Alpha's scent. It was warm and sharp, a powerful presence that seemed to wrap around Aiden, grounding him even though he wanted to resist it. His brother had always warned him. Alphas in war zones are different. They don't trust, they don't break, and they don't let go. But this Alpha, this stranger, had shielded him without hesitation. That confused Aiden the most. Finally, they reached a camouflaged bunker hidden beneath a collapsed warehouse. The Alpha stepped forward, entering a code on a rusted keypad. The steel door slid open with a groan. "Inside," he ordered. Aiden frowned. "Are you always this bossy?" "Only when someone is walking straight into danger," he said without turning back. Aiden muttered under his breath but stepped inside. The bunker was surprisingly warm, clean, safe. Maps lined the walls, red strings crisscrossing them like a spiderweb. Weapons were stacked neatly on racks, and a small cot was pushed against the far corner. A thick military jacket hung on a hook, still dripping rainwater. Aiden wrapped his arms around himself. This place smelled like him. The Alpha closed the door behind them, locking the chaos of the outside world away. Silence fell heavily. Aiden finally asked, "What's your name?" The Alpha's back stiffened before he turned, his golden eyes observing Aiden like he was trying to solve a puzzle. "Rowan." Aiden stared. "Just Rowan. That's all you need to know." Aiden rolled his eyes. "Well, I'm Aiden," Rowan finished for him. Aiden froze. How do you know my name?" Rowan's expression didn't change, but something dark flashed in his eyes. "You wear your brother's jacket," Rowan said quietly. "It has his insignia inside. Liam always talked about his little brother." Aiden's breath caught. "You knew Liam?" he whispered. Rowan looked away, jaw tightening. "He trained under me. He was one of my best. Loyal. Brave." Something inside Aiden twisted painfully. Hearing Liam's name from someone who actually knew him felt like touching a wound that never healed. Was he really killed in a routine mission? Aiden asked, voice breaking. Or was it something else? Something they didn't tell my family? Rowan's eyes darkened. "I can't answer that," he said. "Not yet. Not yet." Those words stabbed deeper than the silence. Aiden clenched his fists. "That's why I came here. I need to know what happened." "You shouldn't be here at all," Rowan snapped. "You're an Omega. Do you have any idea how dangerous?" "Don't say that," Aiden shouted, surprising them both. His voice shook, but he didn't back down. "Don't call me weak just because of my designation. Liam believed in me, and I'm not leaving until I get the truth." Rowan stared at him for a long time, so long Aiden wondered if he had overstepped. Then Rowan exhaled slowly. "You're not weak," he murmured. "That's not what I meant." Aiden blinked. "Then what did you mean?" Rowan stepped closer, and for the first time, Aiden realized just how enormous he was. A wall of muscle, strength, authority. But there was something else beneath it. A quiet, impossible softness. "I meant," Rowan said, voice low, "that Omegas are rare here. If enemy soldiers smell you, they'll take you, use you, break you." Aiden swallowed. The room suddenly felt too warm. Rowan continued, "If you stay with me, I can protect you. But if you go alone, Aiden, you won't survive." The sincerity in his voice made Aiden's chest ache. I don't need protection, Aiden whispered. Rowan's eyes dropped to the faint tremble in Aiden's hands. Your body is telling a different story. Heat rushed to Aiden's face. I'm not scared, he insisted. Good, Rowan said, stepping even closer. Because fear gets you killed, but bravery. His eyes locked onto Aiden's. Bravery keeps you alive. Aiden looked away, unsure how to handle the intensity of Rowan's gaze. You can sleep on the cot, Rowan said, breaking the tension. I'll take the floor. Aiden blinked again. Why would you do that? Rowan shrugged. You're the guest. The gesture was unexpectedly gentle. It made Aiden feel seen, respected, something he wasn't used to. As Aiden sat on the cot, Rowan knelt on the floor, leaning back against the cold wall, rifle resting beside him. He kept the lights dimmed, creating a haze of soft shadows around them. Aiden's breathing finally slowed. The bunker hummed quietly with the generators. Outside, the war raged on. But for the first time in days, Aiden felt safe. Before sleep claimed him, he whispered, Thank you, Rowan. Rowan's eyes flicked toward him. You're safe here, Aiden, he replied softly. I'll guard you. Aiden didn't see the way Rowan watched him as he drifted into sleep, like he was something fragile, precious, and dangerous all at once. Like he was someone Rowan should not get close to, but already was. Aiden woke in the middle of the night to silence, the dangerous kind, the kind that didn't belong in a war zone. No distant explosions. No footsteps. No engines. Nothing. Only the cold hum of the bunker lights and the steady rhythm of Rowan's breathing somewhere close. His eyes adjusted slowly, and there he saw him. Rowan wasn't sleeping. He sat against the wall exactly where he had been hours ago, rifle across his lap, his body rigid and alert. Even in the dim light, the Alpha looked like something carved from raw steel, unmoving, unstoppable. Aiden wondered if Rowan ever slept at all, or if the war had taken that from him long ago. The air felt heavier tonight, colder. Aiden pulled the blanket around himself, but it didn't help much. Something was wrong. Rowan sensed Aiden's movement instantly. You're awake, he said without turning. You didn't sleep, Aiden whispered. Alphas in war zones don't sleep, Rowan replied. Not when they're guarding someone. Aiden's heart tightened. Guarding me? Why? Rowan didn't answer at first. His fingers tightened around the rifle, his jaw clenching. Finally, he murmured, Because someone followed us. Aiden froze. His voice dropped to a whisper. What do you mean someone followed us? Rowan stood up, moving with the quiet precision of a predator. He approached Aiden, not too close, but close enough for Aiden to feel the shift in the air. Rowan's scent grew sharper, more protective, more alpha. There were footsteps, Rowan said. Not many, just one, tracking us from a distance. Aiden's breath caught. An enemy soldier? That's what I need to find out. Fear rose in Aiden's chest, but underneath it simmered something else. Anger. This is about Liam, isn't it? Someone killed him. Someone who doesn't want me to find the truth. Rowan didn't deny it. Aiden, Rowan said, voice steadier than the tension in his eyes. You coming here, it wasn't unnoticed, and someone doesn't want you alive. The blanket slipped from Aiden's shoulders, but he didn't feel the cold anymore. His blood was boiling. My brother died for nothing, he whispered. They lied to us. I know it. Rowan reached out, slow, deliberate, and placed a hand on the small table beside the cot, avoiding touching Aiden but shielding him with his presence. Listen to me. Rowan's golden eyes locked onto him with an intensity that made Aiden's heart stutter. I will help you, but you must follow my lead. You must trust me. Aiden tried to steady his breathing. I barely know you, and yet, Rowan said quietly, you're safer with me than with anyone else out there. Aiden disliked how true that felt. Rowan stepped back, giving Aiden space, but the protective aura did not fade. It only grew stronger. Try to sleep, Rowan said. I'll handle the rest. Aiden opened his mouth to protest, but Rowan's expression softened just slightly. Barely noticeable, but enough. You're tired. Rowan added. And tomorrow, I start telling you the truth. Aiden's heartbeat stumbled. The truth about Liam? He whispered. Rowan nodded once, slow and heavy. Everything. Aiden lay back down, though sleep felt impossible. Rowan returned to his place by the wall, rifle across his knee, shoulders tense like he was ready to kill the shadows themselves. Minutes passed. Then Rowan suddenly whispered, Aiden. Aiden lifted his head. Yes. Stay close to me tomorrow, Rowan said, voice low, protective, almost possessive. No matter what happens. No matter who we meet. Aiden swallowed. Why? Rowan's gaze darkened. Because whoever followed us tonight wasn't alone. And the moment they realize who you are, who Liam was, this war zone will turn into a hunting ground. Aiden's blood ran cold. But Rowan's final words warmed something deep inside him. I won't let them take you. Aiden didn't sleep that night, but for the first time he didn't feel alone. Morning in the war zone wasn't sunrise. It was explosions waking the ground. Aiden pushed himself up as Rowan opened the bunker door just a crack, scanning the outside like a hawk stalking prey. Rowan's posture was different today, tighter, tenser, as if every sound was a threat. Aiden could tell something had shifted overnight. Stay behind me, Rowan said. Aiden rolled his eyes. You've said that 10 times. Then listen the 10th time, Rowan replied sharply. He stepped out first, rifle raised, eyes hunting the ruins. Aiden followed carefully. The sky was a gray smear of smoke and war dust. Broken vehicles lay like bones along the road. And though everything looked dead, Aiden could feel something alive watching them. His Omega senses tingled, a warning he didn't understand yet. They walked in silence until Rowan slowed suddenly, his arm rising to signal Aiden to stop. Aiden froze. Rowan crouched low, fingers brushing the dirt. Footprints. Fresh. Someone had been standing right outside the bunker. Aiden swallowed. It wasn't my imagination last night. No, Rowan's jaw tightened. They found us. He stood and motioned for Aiden to follow. They moved quickly, cutting through the ruins toward a safer path. Aiden struggled to keep up. Not because he was weak, but because Rowan moved like a ghost of war, silent and deadly. Where are we going? Aiden asked. To Command Post Delta, Rowan said. There's someone you need to meet. Aiden stopped walking. A commander? Someone who can tell me about Liam. Rowan didn't turn around, but Aiden saw his shoulders stiffen. Yes, Rowan said finally. But you need to prepare yourself. Prepare for what? Rowan walked back to him, expression hard. Liam wasn't killed in a routine mission. That much I can promise. Aiden's heart cracked open again. Then how did he die? Rowan hesitated, something Aiden had never seen him do before. But before Rowan could speak, a loud were echoed overhead. A drone. Rowan grabbed Aiden and shoved him behind a broken concrete wall. The drone scanned the area with a red targeting light sweeping like an eye searching for prey. Aiden's breath shook. Rowan pressed close behind him, one arm braced beside Aiden's head, shielding him with his body. Don't move, Rowan whispered. So close Aiden felt the heat of his breath along his neck. Aiden's heartbeat thundered, not from fear, from something else, something instinctive, primal, dangerous. Rowan's alpha scent grew thicker, warmer, surrounding him like a protective cage. The drone hovered for a long moment, too long. Aiden whispered, Rowan, do they know about me? Rowan didn't answer. Instead, he slowly lifted his rifle, eyes cold and calculating. He waited for the perfect angle. The moment the drone shifted, crack, Rowan fired. The machine exploded in a burst of sparks and smoke. Move! Rowan grabbed Aiden's wrist, dragging him deeper into the ruins before more enemy units arrived. They ducked into an abandoned military watchtower, breath heavy and adrenaline spiking. Aiden leaned against the wall, shaking. Rowan watched him closely, golden eyes sharp. You're trembling. No, I'm fine, Aiden lied. Rowan stepped closer, his presence swallowing the tiny room. Your scent says otherwise. Aiden's cheeks burned. Stop bringing up my scent. I can't, Rowan said honestly. Your emotions hit harder than bullets. Aiden didn't know what to say to that. Rowan turned away, pacing. He was thinking, calculating, which meant something was very, very wrong. Aiden finally asked, "What are you not telling me?" The world outside the watchtower was colder, heavier, as if it sensed the truth Aiden had just learned. Liam hadn't died in battle. He'd been murdered. And now Aiden, the last person who loved him, was walking into the same storm. Rowan led him through the ruined streets, steps precise, eyes scanning every angle. He was more on edge than before, his alpha instincts flaring in silent warning. Aiden could feel the tension rolling off him in waves. "Rowan," Aiden said quietly, "you knew something like this would happen to me, didn't you?" Rowan didn't look back. "The moment you arrived, I knew trouble would follow. Liam's death wasn't an accident, and your presence reopens the wound." "But I need to know," Aiden insisted. "I deserve to know." Rowan finally turned. "I never said you didn't, but knowing the truth will put a target on your back." Aiden's jaw tightened. "Then let them try." Rowan's expression darkened, equal parts anger and respect. "Your bravado is going to get me killed." Aiden blinked. "What?" Rowan looked away quickly. "Forget it." But Aiden didn't forget. He couldn't. They reached a collapsed supply base, the ground littered with empty bullet casings and torn medical tents. Rowan crouched, touching the soil. "Fresh blood," he murmured. Aiden's stomach twisted. "Enemy soldiers?" Rowan shook his head. "Ours." Something inside Aiden snapped into focus. His Omega instincts sharpened, not fear, but awareness. War heightened every sense, and today, something smelled wrong. "Rowan," Aiden whispered. "Someone's here." Rowan stood instantly, rifle raised, eyes fierce. "Stay behind me." Aiden obeyed this time, not out of fear, but because Rowan's alpha aura pressed into the air, thick and commanding. It wasn't dominance. It was protection. They moved deeper into the ruins. Every step felt like a countdown. Rowan kicked open the door of an old communications room. Dust exploded out like smoke. Papers were scattered everywhere. A broken radio lay on the floor, its wires ripped violently. "This was intentional," Rowan said. "Someone destroyed the evidence." Aiden swallowed hard. "Evidence of what?" "Liam's investigation." Aiden's heart raced. "He was investigating something?" "Someone." Rowan nodded grimly. "Before he died, he told me he found proof of a traitor. Someone feeding information to the enemy. Someone high-ranking. Someone dangerous." Aiden felt chilled to the bone. "And that person killed him." Rowan lifted a hand, silence. Footsteps. Soft. Controlled. Someone was here. Rowan signaled for Aiden to stay low. Aiden ducked behind a fallen metal cabinet as Rowan moved like a shadow, rifle raised. The footsteps grew louder, closer. Aiden held his breath. Then, a gun cocked behind him. Aiden froze. A cold voice whispered at his ear. "If you move, pretty Omega, I'll paint these walls with your blood."
Rowan spun instantly.
"Stop!" The man behind Aiden pressed the barrel harder against Aiden's neck. He smelled of sweat, metal, and something foul. Fear mixed with desperation. Well, the man sneered. "Commander Rowan Vance. I never thought I'd catch you with your guard down." Aiden kept still, though panic clawed at his lungs. Rowan's eyes turned deadly, alpha rage simmering beneath the surface. "Let him go," Rowan said, voice low and dangerous. The man laughed. "Why would I? He's worth more alive than dead." Aiden whispered, "Rowan, don't." But Rowan wasn't listening anymore. His eyes had shifted. His scent had changed. He wasn't calm. He wasn't neutral. He wasn't commanding. He was furious. And a furious alpha was the most dangerous creature in the war zone. "You hurt him," Rowan said, stepping forward slowly, "and I will tear you apart." Rowan's expression turned cold. "No," he said. "He marked you because he trusted me. He wanted me to find you." Aiden's breath caught. Rowan continued, voice trembling with anger and fear. He wasn't hiding anymore. "And now that I have I'm not letting anyone take you. Not the traitor. Not the enemy. Not the entire damn war. Aiden had never felt so protected. Or so hunted. Rain hammered the battlefield tents like thousands of tiny bullets. But Eren barely noticed. His body trembled violently as the medic Omega patched the deep claw mark across his ribs. The attack had been sudden. Rogue Alphas breaking past the outer border, and Eren had thrown himself in front of a young soldier without thinking. He shouldn't have survived. But he did. And that's exactly what terrified Alpha Commander Kale the most. Kale stood in the doorway of the tent, dripping rainwater and blood. His jaw clenched so tightly the muscle twitched. His eyes, normally cold steel, burned with something darker. Rage, fear, and something he refused to name. Who told you to go to the front line? His voice thundered, shaking even the lantern flames. Eren tried to stand but fell back with a wince. There was a boy, he would have died. You could have died. Kale roared, stepping closer, fists shaking. You think you're invincible? You think I can keep? He stopped himself. But Eren had heard enough. The tent fell silent except for the storm. Eren's heart pounded. Why did Kale care so much? Why did his voice break at the end like he was holding something in? Kale turned away sharply, trying to hide the way he was breathing too fast. He had lost soldiers, lost brothers, lost everything once before. But losing Eren, this fragile, stubborn Omega who refused to stay safe, felt like it would destroy him. Suddenly, the medic Omega gasped. Commander, Eren's temperature, it's rising too fast. This isn't from the wound. Kale whipped around. What do you mean? The medic hesitated, then whispered, he's entering. A premature heat. Kale froze. No, not here. Not now. Not when Eren was injured and vulnerable. Eren's breath hitched, and he curled in on himself as the first wave hit hot, drowning, uncontrollable. His scent spilled into the air, sweet and dangerous, flooding the room like wildfire. Kale's instincts slammed into him with brutal force. His alpha power roared awake, demanding he claim, protect, dominate, mate. He had trained his whole life to control himself, but with Eren that control crumbled too easily. Everyone out, Kale growled, his voice low and trembling. But, Commander, out. The tent cleared instantly. Kale remained, chest rising and falling sharply. Eren looked up, pupils blown wide, cheeks flushed. Kale, please, I can't. It hurts. And that shattered whatever restraint Kale had left. He knelt beside him, hands shaking as he brushed Eren's hair back. I'm here. I won't touch you without permission. But I'm not leaving. Eren's fingers clutched Kale's uniform weakly. Don't go. Kale swallowed hard, fighting every instinct. I'm staying. I'll keep you safe through the heat. I promise. Outside, soldiers whispered. An Omega in heat, with the commander alone. Scandalous. Dangerous. Illegal under warzone rules. But Kale didn't care. Eren needed him. And Kale, for the first time in years, needed someone too. As the storm raged outside, something far stronger burned inside that tent. Something that would change the war, the pack, and their fate forever. The storm outside had weakened, but inside the tent, another storm raged. Hotter, deeper, and far more dangerous. Eren lay curled on the cot, breathing unevenly as the waves of heat tore through him. His skin was flushed, his scent thick and intoxicating, wrapping around Kale like invisible chains. Kale sat beside him, fists clenched, nails cutting into his own palms. Every instinct screamed at him to pull Eren close, to soothe him, to claim him, but Kale fought back with pure willpower. Kale, Eren whispered, his voice trembling. Just his voice nearly broke the commander. Kale exhaled shakily. I'm here, Eren. I'm not leaving you. Eren's fingers reached out blindly until they brushed Kale's arm. The touch was small, but it sent a shock through Kale's entire body. The Omega's body was burning, trembling, desperate for relief that only an alpha could give. But Kale refused to take advantage of weakness, especially Eren's. Tell me what you need, Kale muttered, his voice low but gentle. Eren bit his lip, eyes glassy. Don't know. Everything hurts. I feel like I'm falling apart. His breath hitched. Kale, make it stop, please. Kale closed his eyes, fighting the primal command rising in him. He removed his combat jacket and placed it over Eren, hoping the familiar scent might calm him. Eren inhaled sharply, then buried his face into the fabric like it was the only thing keeping him grounded. His voice was barely a whisper. You smell safe. Kale's heart slammed against his ribs. No one had ever said that to him. Not as a commander. Not as an alpha. Not as a man. Eren's heat surged again, and he cried out softly, twisting on the cot. Kale immediately held his shoulders gently to steady him. Easy, breathe with me, Kale murmured. Their breaths synchronized slowly. One inhale, one exhale, until Eren relaxed just a little. But then a new danger emerged. Footsteps outside. Murmurs. Suspicion. A soldier's voice cut through the night. Why is the commander alone with the Omega? Another voice replied sharply, Should we report it? Kale's eyes darkened. He knew the rules. No alpha could be alone with an Omega in heat. Could cost him his rank, his entire career. But then Eren whimpered again. A sound so fragile Kale felt something inside him crack open completely. Damn the rules. Kale leaned close, speaking softly but firmly. I'm not leaving you to suffer alone. They can take my title, my badge, anything. But they can't take you. Eren's breathing quickened, his eyes watering. Why do you care so much? Kale froze. The hardest question. The one he'd been avoiding. I don't know when it happened, he whispered. But somewhere between your stubbornness, your courage, and your stupid habit of running into danger, his voice softened. I started caring more than I should. Eren looked stunned, his heat making his emotions raw and unfiltered. Kale, don't say things like that when I'm like this. It doesn't matter when I say it, Kale replied quietly. It's true. Eren trembled again.
I'm scared.
Kale brushed a tear from his cheek with his thumb. You don't have to be. Not with me. The night grew quiet again. No storm, no soldiers at the door. Only two hearts beating far too fast. Slowly, Eren leaned forward until his forehead touched Kale's chest. He pressed closer, seeking warmth, seeking comfort, seeking him. Kale wrapped an arm around him carefully, protectively. Not claiming, not taking, just holding. Something no one had ever done for Eren before. And as Eren finally drifted into exhausted sleep in Kale's arms, Kale realized something terrifying and beautiful. He would burn the whole war zone to the ground before letting anyone hurt this Omega again. This night didn't just change rules. It changed destinies, changed hearts. Morning in the war zone was never peaceful. But today, the chaos outside felt muted, drowned beneath the quiet tension inside Kale's tent. Eren still slept lightly, curled under Kale's jacket, his scent softer now, the worst of his heat subdued. But Kale hadn't slept at all. He'd spent the entire night sitting beside him, watching over him, fighting instincts that could destroy them both, and ignoring the whispers growing louder across the camp. Because what he had done, staying alone with an Omega in heat, was not just forbidden, it was punishable, and every soldier in the camp seemed to know. When Eren finally woke, his eyes fluttering open, the first thing he saw was Kale. Not in command mode, not armored, not intimidating. Just sitting there, exhaustion shadowing his face, but gaze steady and warm. Eren blinked. You stayed. Kale swallowed. Of course I stayed. Eren's expression softened, but worry crept into his eyes. You're not supposed to. If anyone reports, they can report whatever they want, Kale said sharply. Then he softened, voice low. You needed me. Eren's breath hitched. The words hit him deeper than they should. No one had ever stayed for him. Not at home. Not in the academy. Not anywhere. Kale stood, rolling his shoulders like he was preparing for battle. I need to face them. Them? Eren asked. But the answer arrived before Kale could speak. For soldiers, uniform stiff, eyes cold, lined up outside the tent. And behind them stood General Rowan, Kale's superior. The only alpha in the camp stronger than him, and the only man Kale had ever truly feared disappointing. "Commander Kale," Rowan called, voice echoing. "Step outside." Kale exhaled slowly, nodded once to Aaron, and stepped out. Aaron felt ice crawl through his veins. He pushed himself up, gripping the tent flap, peeking out enough to hear everything. Rowan's gaze was sharp. "The entire camp knows you spent the night with the Omega. Alone." Kale didn't flinch. He was in distress. "I did what I had to." "That is not the protocol," Rowan snapped. "You risked triggering your rut. You risked compromising your judgment. You risked the Omega." Aaron flinched at that, like he was a thing, not a person. Kale's jaw tightened. "He is not a risk. He's—" He stopped himself. Every soldier leaned in, waiting. Rowan folded his arms. "He's what, Commander?" Kale could lie. He could say Aaron meant nothing, that it was duty, instinct, obligation. But Aaron watched him from the shadows, eyes wide, heart pounding. Kale lifted his chin. "He's under my protection." The soldiers stiffened. Rowan's eyes narrowed. "That is not how you refer to an Omega you are merely guarding." His voice dropped. "That is how you refer to someone you intend to claim." The entire camp seemed to freeze. Aaron's breath shattered in his chest. Kale hadn't said he loved him, hadn't confessed anything. But this was a battlefield confession. Kale didn't back down. "I will not deny it." Murmurs erupted, harsh and sharp like bullets. Rowan stepped closer, voice ice-cold. "Then you're suspended from active command until further investigation. Hand over your badge." Aaron's world collapsed. "No," he whispered, stumbling out of the tent. "No, this is my fault." Kale turned immediately. "Aaron, stay back." But Aaron shook his head, eyes burning. "You can't lose your rank because of me." Rowan looked at Aaron, really looked at him, for the first time. An Omega who dared speak to a general. An Omega who stood between his protector and punishment. Rowan's voice softened, just barely. "Omega, understand this clearly. He didn't lose rank because of you. He lost rank because he broke the rules for you." Aaron's lips trembled. Kale reached for him, gently but firmly. "Aaron, I'd break them again." That sentence, those 4 words, they hit Aaron harder than any explosion or gunfire ever had. Rowan sighed. "Commander Kale, until we resolve this matter, you are confined to limited duty. And the Omega," Aaron stiffened, "is now under your direct supervision." Kale froze. "What?" Rowan gave a tight, knowing smirk. "If you're going to risk your career for him, you'll protect him properly." Then he walked away, soldiers trailing behind him. Aaron stood there in shock, heat rising to his cheeks for reasons that had nothing to do with biology. Kale looked down at him, voice softer than the morning wind. "You heard him. You're with me now. Everywhere." Aaron swallowed hard. It wasn't a command. It was a promise. And for the first time in his life, being claimed didn't feel like a cage. Felt like safety. Felt like fire. Felt like the start of something dangerous. And beautiful. The world blurred as Aaron was shoved into the armored truck. Wrists bound, breath shaking. The metal doors slammed behind him with a finality that sent a cold, brutal echo through his chest. He was trapped again. Not in a battlefield, but in the hands of the one man he feared more than death.
General Cyrus Vale.
Aaron's heartbeat pounded so hard he thought it would crack his ribs. His sense spiked in fear, sweet, sharp, vulnerable. The soldiers around him smirked, their eyes glowing with predatory amusement. "Boss is gonna enjoy breaking this one muttered. Aaron jerked away, but there was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Only memories of a past he had tried so hard to escape. Memories of Cyrus whispering, "You were made to obey." Aaron squeezed his eyes shut, trying to erase the voice. But then another voice broke through, a voice stronger, rougher, filled with fire. "Kill." Aaron heard him faintly, like an echo carried by the wind. "Aaron, I'm coming for you." His heart seized. Tears burned his eyes. Not from fear, but from the desperate, aching belief that Kale would tear apart the entire world to reach him. He had seen the rage in Kale's eyes as the truck door closed. The Alpha had snapped. Not in lust, not in instinct, but in protective fury so raw it terrified every soldier in the camp. Aaron pressed his cheek against the cold wall of the truck, whispering Kale's name like a prayer. Back in the camp, the Alpha breaks his chains. Kale spat blood, pushing himself to his feet as the syndicate trucks roared away, dust exploding behind them like a trail of mockery. Rowan held him back. "Commander, think clearly. This is a trap." Kale's voice was a growl from the depths of something primal. "They took my Omega." Rowan stiffened. "You haven't claimed him. I don't need a fucking mark to know he's mine." Silence fell. Even Rowan took a step back. Because Kale, the calm, disciplined commander, had vanished. In his place stood the Alpha he always kept chained.
Rutlas, un stupapla, territorial.
Rowan exhaled. "If you chase them alone, you won't survive." Kale strapped on his armor, eyes wild and burning. "Then I'll die taking every one of them with me." "Kale, I'm not asking for permission." His tone dropped, cold and absolute. "I'm going after him." Rowan's jaw tightened. After a long moment, he sighed and removed his own dog tags, pressing them into Kale's palm. "Then take these. If you're going to break every military rule for him, do it properly." Kale stared at the tags, a symbol of rank, of respect, of brotherhood. Rowan stepped back. "Bring him home." Kale nodded once, then mounted the combat bike and tore off down the path the truck had taken, dust rising behind him like smoke from a burning vow. "And for the first time since the war began," Rowan whispered, "God help anyone standing between Kale and that Omega." Inside the syndicate truck, the first threat. The truck jolted violently as it took a sharp turn. Aaron lost balance and crashed onto the metal floor. A soldier grabbed his collar, jerking him up. "You smell scared." The man laughed darkly. "Cyrus likes them scared." Aaron kicked him hard in the shin. The soldier staggered back, swearing. "You little." Another soldier grabbed his arm. "Don't bruise him. Boss wants his pretty Omega untouched." Aaron's blood ran ice cold. Untouched. Owned. Controlled. "No, not again." He pushed back, adrenaline surging. "You will not take me to him." His voice shook, but it was stronger than he felt. The soldier laughed. "Who's going to stop us? That commander of yours? He's probably dead already." Aaron froze. "No," he whispered. "He took a hit to the ribs before we left. He won't get up again." Aaron's throat closed. "Kill." He had been thrown down, surrounded, hit. "No," Aaron whispered again, shaking his head violently. "Kale doesn't die. He doesn't break." The soldier sneered. "Then pray he comes before Cyrus decides to make you regret." Suddenly, boom, the world exploded. The truck tilted sideways, skidding violently, metal screaming as dust and fire erupted around them. Aaron was thrown against the wall. Soldiers cursed. "What the hell was that?" The driver screamed. Something hit the tire. But Aaron already knew. His heart pounded in wild, furious hope. Kale. He had found them. This wasn't a rescue. It was a declaration of war. Asterisk asterisk. And Kale wasn't coming for negotiations. He was coming for his Omega, and he would burn the world to ash to get him back. Smoke curled into the sky as the overturned syndicate truck screeched to a halt, metal hissing and flames licking its wheels. The desert wind carried the scent of burning rubber, gunpowder, and something far more dangerous, an Alpha in rage. Aaron groaned, pain lancing through his ribs as he pushed himself upright. The soldiers inside were scrambling, shouting, trying to find their weapons. But Aaron didn't hear them. He only heard the roar. Deep, animal, terrifying. Kill. The fight had already begun before Aaron crawled out of the smoking truck. Sand blew across the battlefield, painting everything in shades of fire and fury. Kale stood in the center of it, unarmored, bleeding from his lip, breaths sharp and heavy, but eyes blazing with a kind of rage that made even trained killers hesitate. 2 syndicate soldiers charged him. Cale didn't step back. He attacked. One moment he was still. The next he was a blur of muscle and violence. His fist connected with the first soldier's jaw, hard enough that the crack echoed across the dunes. The man collapsed instantly. The second soldier raised a rifle. Cale didn't dodge. He grabbed the barrel, slammed the man into the truck's burning side, and twisted the gun free, snapping it in half like it was made of plastic. Eren had never seen him like this. This wasn't the calm commander, the controlled leader. This was the alpha that lived beneath the armor. Ruthless, unstoppable, and mad with the need to protect his Omega. And he was killing for him. One of the soldiers inside the wrecked truck grabbed Eren's arm. "Don't move, Omega." Eren bit down and fought back with a fury that surprised even him. "Let go of me." He shoved, kicked, clawed, anything to buy a second. And then a shadow fell over them. Not a soldier. Not Cyrus. Cale. He grabbed the soldier by the throat and slammed him to the sand so hard the ground shook. The man choked, gasping, but Cale didn't look at him. His eyes were on Eren. Only Eren. "You're hurt," Cale breathed out, his voice wild. He cupped Eren's face, searching for wounds. "What did they do to you?" I'm fine, Eren whispered. "But you're bleeding." "I don't care." Cale pulled him into his chest. "I got you." For a moment, Eren melted into his arms, breath trembling. The scent of Cale, smoke, steel, and alpha, wrapped around him like a shield, grounding him. But the moment shattered when a shot rang out. Bang! Cale turned instantly, shielding Eren with his body as a bullet grazed his shoulder. "Cale!" Eren cried. The shooter, a syndicate captain, stood on the dune with a rifle aiming again. "Alpha!" Another soldier shouted. "The Omega is unclaimed. Kill the commander and take him." Cale's entire body tensed. Eren's sense spiked. Fear, desperation, need, and something inside Cale finally snapped. He turned to Eren, voice low and broken. "Close your eyes." "Cale, don't." "Eren, close your eyes." Eren obeyed. The next sound he heard wasn't a gunshot. It was a scream. Cale moved like a storm unleashed, sand exploding under each step. He tackled the captain off the dune, knocking the rifle away. The 2 men crashed into the sand, wrestling as the wind howled around them. The captain punched Cale in the ribs. Cale didn't react. He grabbed the man by the jaw and forced his head into the sand. "Don't touch him," Cale snarled. "Don't speak about him. Don't even look at him." The captain kicked, struggled, but Cale's rage was something no amount of strength could overcome. With one final, brutal movement, Cale silenced him. The battlefield fell quiet. Eren opened his eyes slowly, breath shaking. Cale was standing there, chest heaving, blood dripping from his shoulder, sand sticking to his skin. He looked like a demon carved from fire. But when he looked at Eren, his expression softened into something unbearably tender. "For you," he whispered, "I'd kill 1,000 more." Eren stumbled toward him, half in shock, half in overwhelming emotion. "You came for me," Eren whispered. Cale cupped his face again, thumb brushing a streak of dirt off his cheek. "I will always come for you." Their foreheads touched, breaths mingling, hearts racing in sync. But the moment didn't last long, because far away, a distant echo broke the silence. A horn, Cyrus's signal. He knew Eren had been taken back. And he was coming. Cale's jaw tightened. Eren's breath hitched. The war wasn't over. It was just beginning. The desert wind grew colder as Cale guided Eren away from the smoking wreckage of the truck. Every muscle in Cale's body screamed with pain. His shoulder was bleeding, his ribs were bruised, and his knuckles were torn raw. But none of that mattered. Eren was alive. Eren was safe. Eren was with him. However, safety was short-lived, because the horn that echoed across the dunes was not random. It was a summons, a declaration, a warning, and Eren knew exactly what it meant. Cyrus was coming. The camp in ruins. By the time Kale and Aaron reached the outskirts of the abandoned village, the sun had dipped low, staining the sky a dangerous red. Kale carefully lifted Aaron down from the bike, hands steady despite his injuries. "You're trembling," Kale murmured. Aaron shook his head. I'm just tired." But Kale wasn't fooled. This wasn't exhaustion. This was fear, the fear that Cyrus wasn't done yet. Kale reached out, brushing the hair from Aaron's face. "You don't have to pretend with me." Aaron swallowed, voice breaking. "He won't stop. Cyrus won't stop until he takes me." Kale's eyes flashed with a fury Aaron had only seen once before, when he'd killed to protect him. "No," Kale said with absolute certainty. "I won't let him touch you." Aaron's breath trembled. "You can't fight his whole army." Kale stepped closer, lifting Aaron's chin so he couldn't look away. "I'll fight a kingdom if I have to." Aaron's chest tightened painfully. No alpha had ever protected him like this. No one had ever defied the world for him. He didn't know how to handle it, or how deeply he needed it. In the distance, Cyrus arrives. Far from the village, engines roared, syndicate bikes, armored cars, and vehicles marked with the signature black sigil. Cyrus rode at the front. His coat whipped violently behind him, his expression carved in stone. His eyes were sharp, calculating, burning with a jealousy so dark it could level a city. A soldier rode beside him. "General, the commander killed 5 of our men." Cyrus smiled. Not amused, not angry, but fascinated. "So the rumors are true," he murmured. "Kale's Omega brings out his monster." The soldier cleared his throat. "Should we begin the assault?"
No, Cyrus replied.
"Bring me to the spot where Kale fought." Moments later, he stepped off his bike, his boots crunching the glass and sand left behind. He knelt in the dirt, picking up a drop of blood. Aaron's scent clung to it. Cyrus inhaled deeply, sighing like a man tasting wine. "He's close," he whispered darkly. "My little Omega is terrified." A soldier hesitated. "General, he's not yours anymore." Cyrus's expression turned cold, deadly. "An Omega who fears me stays mine," he said softly. "And an Omega who cries for me?" He smiled cruelly. "Even more mine." The soldier swallowed. "And the commander?" Cyrus stood, brushing dirt off his gloves. "Kill him, if he gets in the way." "And if he doesn't get in the way?" Cyrus's smile turned sharp. "I'll make sure he does." Back in the abandoned house, the confession Aaron didn't expect. Kale pushed open the broken wooden door of a ruined house. Inside, the air smelled of dust and old memories, but it was safer than the open sand. "Sit," Kale ordered gently. Aaron sank onto a worn-out sofa. He watched Kale rip part of his shirt to bandage his shoulder. Blood seeped through the fabric, but Kale didn't complain. "You're hurt?" Aaron whispered, guilt twisting in his stomach. Kale looked up, voice low and raw. "I'm hurt because they took you." Aaron's breath hitched. His heart fluttered. Something warm and terrifying spread through him. "Kale," he whispered. Kale moved closer, kneeling in front of him. "I need you to listen," Kale said, gaze burning. "I don't care what Cyrus thinks he owns. I don't care about laws. I don't care about the war." He cupped Aaron's face gently. "I will protect you, not because I have to, not because you're an Omega, but because it's you." Aaron froze, every word striking him like lightning. "You choose me," Aaron whispered. Kale's thumb brushed his cheek. "I chose you long before I knew it." Aaron's throat tightened. His eyes blurred. This alpha, this impossible, dangerous, loyal alpha, was choosing him over everything. But before Aaron could respond, boom! The walls shook. A shadow moved outside. Kale stood instantly, grabbing his knife. "Stay behind me." But Aaron already knew that scent. That oppressive, cold, suffocating presence. Cyrus had arrived. His voice echoed through the ruined house, smooth and terrifying. "Aaron, come out." Kale growled, stepping in front of Aaron like a shield. "No," he snarled. "He's not yours." Cyrus laughed softly, the sound echoing in the broken halls. Then let's see, he said, footsteps nearing the door, which Alpha he runs to when the bullets start flying. Night swallowed the iron fortress in an uneasy silence. Outside, soldiers sharpened their blades and repaired their armor, preparing for the next attack. But inside Cale's private chamber, another war was unfolding, one far more dangerous. Riven sat curled on the wide bed, his breathing soft but unsteady, his body wrapped in a thick blanket Cale had forced around him hours ago. His heat had finally weakened its grip, but the scent of it still lingered, sweet, intoxicating, forbidden. Cale stood near the window, fists clenched, staring at the moonlight spilling across the floor like a trap laid by destiny itself. He'd almost lost control, almost marked Riven, almost claimed an Omega he had sworn to protect, not own. Every instinct in him roared, "Mine!" Terrified him more than any enemy on the battlefield. When Cale finally turned, Riven looked up with those silver eyes, soft, trusting, far too open for someone in a war camp. "You're avoiding me," Riven whispered. Cale froze. The Omega's voice trembled, not with fear, but with hurt. "Did I do something wrong?" Cale crossed the room in 2 strides, frustration and longing breaking through the mask he wore for everyone else. "You didn't do anything," he growled, but the roughness in his voice betrayed him. Riven's fingers hesitated, then gently touched Cale's arm. A single, fragile connection that made Cale's breath catch. "Then why," Riven whispered, "does it feel like you're the one running from me?" Cale's resolve cracked. He grabbed Riven's wrist, pulling him closer than he should. "Because if I don't," he said quietly, "I will do something you can't take back." Riven's heart raced. His scent warmed the air. Their foreheads touched, a dangerous intimacy that neither of them should have allowed. "Maybe," Riven whispered shakily, "I wouldn't want you to take it back." Cale's eyes widened. For the first time since this war began, he felt truly powerless. Not against armies, but against this soft, stubborn Omega who had walked straight into hell and somehow stolen the commander's guarded heart. The bond between them pulsed in the air, unfinished, unwanted, yet undeniably real. Cale finally forced himself to step back, breathing hard. "Riven," he said, voice thick, "if anything happens to you, I won't survive it." The Omega's eyes softened. He moved closer again, his bravery surprising even himself. "Then don't let anything happen. Stay with me." And for a moment, just a moment, Cale allowed himself to believe such a thing was possible. But outside the chamber, beyond the iron doors, an enemy scout was already delivering a message to their rival clan. "We've found the royal blood Omega. Prepare to strike." The storm rolled in before dawn, dark clouds swallowing the sky as if the heavens knew blood would be spilled before sunrise. Cale woke instantly, every alpha instinct on high alert. Something in the fortress felt wrong. Too quiet, too still. Riven, still asleep beside him, breathed softly, unaware of the danger tightening around them like a noose. Cale rose silently, slipping his cloak over his bare shoulders. He looked back once, just once. Riven slept curled like a fallen moonbeam, his silver hair spread over the pillow, his expression peaceful in a way Cale almost never saw. For a moment Cale allowed himself the softness, the longing, the dangerous tenderness growing inside him. "I will protect you," he swore silently, "even if I burn the world to ash." He stepped out of the chamber and walked straight into chaos. A soldier stumbled toward him, armor dented, face pale. "Commander, enemy scouts breached the north gate. Wolves, fast, trained. They asked for only one thing." Cale's heart went ice cold. "Riven." Before he could move, another soldier ran in. "Sir." The message, the enemy Alpha sent a warning. The soldier handed Cale a blood-stained strip of cloth with a sigil burned into it. Cale recognized it instantly. The Draken clan, his old enemies, the worst of the worst. And their leader, Lucian Draken, was the Alpha who once tried to claim Riven's mother, a monster who believed royal blood Omegas were weapons to own, not people to protect. Cale felt rage ignite like wildfire in his chest. "Where is he?" he demanded. Moving toward the fortress, Commander, he said. The soldier swallowed hard. He said he's come to collect what belongs to him. Cale's vision turned red. Inside the chamber, Riven woke to the distant sound of clashing steel. His heart leapt painfully. Something felt wrong, like the world had shifted. Before he could move, the door slammed open. It wasn't Cale. A tall, dark alpha stepped inside. Hair black as pitch, eyes cruel and burning with greed. Riven's entire body froze with instinctive terror. "Hello, little royal," Lucian Draken murmured, stepping closer. "You look so much like your mother. Beautiful, fragile, precious." Riven backed away until he hit the wall. "Stay away." Lucian smiled slowly. "You belong to us, and I've come to bring you home." The Omega's fear spiked, scent turning sharp with panic. Lucian inhaled it like a drug. But before he could take another step, the wall exploded. Cale burst through in a whirlwind of fury, eyes glowing with alpha rage, dust and stones scattering like broken stars. He didn't speak, didn't warn, didn't hesitate. He attacked. Lucian dodged, laughing.
A. Commandé Kael.
So protective, so predictable. Cale lunged again, voice vibrating with fury. "Touch him, and I will rip your heart out with my bare hands." Their powers clashed. Raw alpha dominance shaking the room, rattling the bed, cracking the floor. Riven stood trembling, watching two monsters fight for him. One out of greed, one out of love. And in that brutal, terrifying moment, Riven realized something he had been too afraid to face. Cale wasn't just protecting him. Cale was willing to destroy the world for him. The battle between Cale and Lucian tore the fortress chamber apart. Stone cracked, metal rang, and the air rippled with alpha dominance so intense it made Riven's knees weaken. Cale fought like a man possessed. No, like a beast protecting its mate. Every punch, every strike was fueled by a rage Riven had never seen before. Terrifying, beautiful fury. But Lucian wasn't just strong, he was cunning. He fought Cale only long enough to measure his strength. Then, with a mocking smirk, he shifted tactics. A flick of his wrist, a hidden blade, a burst of blinding smoke. Cale roared, stumbling a step as the smoke filled his lungs. "Riven, don't move." But it was already too late. Through the haze, Lucian appeared behind Riven like a shadow born from nightmares. His arms snaked around the Omega's waist, pulling him tight against his chest. Riven gasped, struggling, panic rising in sharp waves that filled the air with distressed scent. Lucian inhaled deeply.
A. Desperat Omega smell divine.
Cale lunged, but Lucian pressed the cold edge of a dagger to Riven's throat. A blade carved to subdue Omegas, its mere presence enough to weaken him. "Another step," Lucian hissed, "and I'll spill your precious little bondmate across the floor." Cale froze, raw, murderous agony twisting his face. His fists trembled with the force of holding himself back. The smoke cleared just enough for Riven to see him clearly. "Cale," he whispered. Lucian smirked. "Say goodbye." A blast of wind, a shimmer of dark energy. And in the blink of an eye, Lucian activated a teleportation sigil burned into his arm. The world around Riven twisted, colors stretching. The fortress disappearing into a whirlpool of shadows as Cale's scream rose behind him. "Riven!" Then everything went black. Riven woke to the smell of damp stone and iron chains. He was in a cold underground chamber, wrists bound with Omega-suppressing cuffs. The air was heavy with old blood and the faint echo of dripping water. Every breath ached. His body trembled, not from fear alone, but from the brutal absence of Cale's scent. That calming, grounding presence gone. He felt hollow. Lucian stood across the room, watching him with hungry eyes. "Do you know why I took you?" he asked softly, almost gently. Riven's voice cracked. "Because you want power." No, Lucian crouched in front of him, lifting his chin with a finger. "Because you were born to my clan. Your mother should have been mine. And you," his smile darkened, "you will finish what she started." Riven jerked away, disgust rising. I will never be yours. Lucien laughed. Oh, little star, you will. Once your alpha bond to Cale starts to break. Riven's heart dropped, because he could already feel it. A slow, crushing pain in his chest, a thread stretching thin, Cale's presence growing faint, distant, agonizingly unreachable. Lucien leaned close, whispering, by the time he finds you, you will no longer be his. Riven's breath hitched. A tear slipped down his cheek. But in the deepest part of him, something refused to break. Cale is coming. He will burn the world. He will tear down every kingdom. He will find me. And far away, standing in the ruins of the fortress chamber, Cale dropped to his knees, clutching a torn piece of Riven's cloak, eyes burning blood red. He whispered only one vow. I will kill anyone who stands between us. The fortress lay in ruins, but Cale didn't feel the pain of his wounds, nor the blood dripping down his knuckles. All he felt was the empty space where Riven should have been, the silence in the bond that used to pulse warm and bright. Now it was cold, thinning, fading. Cale stood alone in what remained of their chamber, the smashed walls still reeking of smoke and fear. He held the torn fragment of Riven's cloak in his fist like a lifeline. His men watched him from a distance, whispering, terrified, not of the enemy, but of their own commander. Because Cale Vesper was unrecognizable. His alpha aura had turned deadly, sharp enough that soldiers could barely breathe in his presence. His eyes were wild, glowing with a savage crimson that only appeared when an alpha was pushed past sanity. He was beyond furious, beyond desperate. He was breaking. Commander, General Orion approached cautiously. We found the sigil residue. It's a teleportation rune, Draken clan style. Cale didn't move. Where did it take them? We're analyzing it now, but... Cale turned his head slowly. His voice was ice-carved from wrath. I said, where? The room fell silent. Orion swallowed hard. North toward the Shadow Valleys. Cale's jaw clenched. Pack the horses. Arm the squads. No one rests. No one breathes until we find him. Commander, your body? Cale's aura exploded outward, rattling the floorboards. If you mention my condition again, I will tear your throat out. Orion stepped back instantly, bowing. Understood. Cale strapped on his armor with shaking hands. Hands that remembered holding Riven only hours ago. Hands that wanted to tear Lucien apart piece by piece. He paused only once, fingers brushing the mark on his neck that pulsed faintly with Riven's fading scent. It hurt. Gods, it hurt. The bond screamed in agony. But that pain was the only thing keeping Cale from collapsing.